Welcome to Invested Souls, the podcast where real estate expertise meets relationship growth.
And we're your hosts, the Flanagans. I'm Brad.
And I'm Jamie. This podcast is your chance to learn from our experiences and follow in our footsteps. Whether you're an entrepreneur, investor, or real estate professional, we've got the insights and strategies to help you elevate your wealth and achieve financial freedom.
But it's not just all about real estate. We believe that thriving in life means nurturing the relationships that matter most.
That's right. We'll be talking about how to balance your personal and professional life so you can create a fulfilling and prosperous future.
So join us on Invested Souls and let's grow together in wealth, relationships, and success.
Ready to elevate your life? Let's get started. Welcome to Invested Souls. Hi, welcome everybody back to Invested Souls. Today I'm super excited to have Nick Disney on the show. He is a real estate investor in Texas and focuses on seller financing, single family homes. I'll let you go more into exactly what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So in San Antonio, Texas, and we will purchase, rehab, and sell single-family homes with owner financing so that we create long-term promissory notes, and that's how we create our cash flow.
Love it. So we come from the residential side of rentals and we've dabbled a little bit in seller financing. We've probably seller financed 3 or 4 houses, but obviously not a regular thing for us. So I'm excited to have this conversation. What got you into that? How did you fall into this realm?
So I'm a huge fan of cash flow, long-term, very predictable cash flow. And so started that journey with rentals and, obviously we had some flips and wholesales along the way, but just found over time that creating the notes gave more cash flow, it's more predictable, and it just didn't have the same headaches and didn't take as much time as the rental properties. So I'm still pro rentals. I really feel like owning mortgage notes would be very helpful for a lot of people who want cash flow.
Especially in this market where it's really hard to find cash flow.
It is. Yep.
These are a huge advantage to this conversation. So you have a website, and so people will click on your website as far as a seller who's interested in selling. And then do you have a list of buyers who are interested, or how do you, what's the process look like for you?
Sure. So we do a lot of lead generation. We buy houses, cash for houses, and most of that comes through the website, sellmysanantoniohouse.com, or direct mail or some other way. So we'll purchase it. We'll do the rehab, and when we sell it, traditionally we're not listing on the MLS for our owner finances. We will sell them. We have a guy who just sells for us. He is an agent, but he just sells our properties, and so he'll list them out, and we'll bring people through. We have a whole process for qualifying them, and most of our marketing is done. We do yard signs in the yard, signs around the neighborhood, Facebook Marketplace, things like that. For people who are really, really good folks, but they don't fit with a traditional financing model, and that's where we have a lot of success.
Awesome. It's interesting. I partner with a guy out here so he buys houses for cash. So a lot of times they fit in that model. I just need to get out of the house quickly. And then if it doesn't end up working out, or they're like, oh, he finds that it makes more sense for them to list the house, I'll meet with them. But it's really nice because I can go in and either reassure hey, it's probably best to sell to a cash investor. So do you partner with agent relationships at all, or is that something?
All the time, because as you know, when you're marketing, you don't really know who's going to call, and we're not the best fit for everybody. Right. There's lots of people who want or need a certain number, and maybe their property and they're not on a tight time frame. There's really no need, and we'll refer them to an agent. That's not where we specialize, and so we're happy to refer them there. And then to your point, we get a lot of referrals from agents hey, this should not be listed. Will you give them a price? And they need to sell, in 8 days. So if you could give them a price right now. And so the working with the right agents who understand both sides is super helpful.
It is. And it's a great, I love it because you're giving the people the options. So it's hey, if you were to update it or do these things, here's what you're looking at. And the headache factor, a lot of time, and there's a lot of circumstances where it doesn't make sense. There's lots of financial scenarios. It's actually quite broad. You can go on 10 appointments and they all have a different financial situation. But it is, we're doing what's right by the client and the customer, I think, is what always makes the most sense. So, and I think that's how our businesses do better overall when we do the right thing. So now you've bought the house,
right?
You have an offer, close in 8 days. I own the property. You don't do any assignments, right? No wholesaling on your.
It's rare that we wholesale anything. We close almost everything. I wouldn't say never, but that's not our primary business. If we do, it's somebody that we've known for years and that, that we would wholesale to.
Okay, awesome. So then you close on that property and then you have a list of buyers, or do you advertise that property as a seller financing through Facebook ads or similar marketing channels?
Right. So we'll have a short list of buyers that we've met probably at another property, reached out to us, and this property wasn't right for them, but everything else seemed to check out. And so when we get a new one, hey, this one we have coming, would you like to come take a look? But so we'll purchase it. We'll do the rehab because most of them need something, if we bought them, and we'll bring them back and then we'll start to market them and bring people through, say, hey, this is your down payment. This is what your monthly payment will be. And here's exactly how it would set up. And, we have pretty good success about creating a win-win. Mm-hmm.
So your guidelines compared to a traditional mortgage, obviously a little more lenient because that's how I'm guessing.
Well, yes and no, right? It's really where we're lenient. We typically require $25,000 down to get into one of our properties. We're in San Antonio, so our average sale
more of just a flat, so more of a flat dollar versus a percentage.
Yes.
Okay.
And so when we say 25 down or 25, it's really their financial commitment. That'll be their down payment plus their closing costs, plus we have their prepaid escrows and everything that will go in. But it's a large financial commitment. We don't do 1,500, 2,000 down and move in. It's not what we found success like for us or the clients long term. So we do require that. We do require steady income. And when you do a lot of owner finance properties, you have to follow certain rules. You have to go through the RMLO. You have to document everything. It's a full process that we have to put together. And so where it changes is we may have a credit score of NA. They may just not even have one, but they also don't have bad credit. We don't do bad credit. So, but many of our clients paid cash for their vehicles. They don't have any credit cards. Wow. They have never financed anything. And so yes, like looking at it that way, it is more lenient because they're never going to get financed at Wells Fargo. They just not going to happen. But they've also never missed a payment on anything, and they really don't have many payments. And if you can document a good work history, steady income, and they've saved for a substantial down payment or financial commitment, we have a lot of success with that approach.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love that. That's similar to what we've done. It's like this person doesn't qualify traditionally just because of a credit score of NA or not enough work. Like they have good work history, but it doesn't work for the traditional lending process. And Brad does loans. So it's like, oh, this doesn't fit. Well, we have a house that matches and actually we would be okay with their credit. So like, let's maybe see if we've got an option for them. And so that's how we've accidentally done it.
And it's perfect. And we get people sometimes that have great credit score. And we're like, hey, you could go get this financed and it will be, less. And if you want to go that process, and sometimes they'll choose to, sometimes they won't. I mean, we're happy to sell them the house and let them do it, but
like going through the whole mortgage process there's a lot of paperwork and there's a lot of back and forth. And so sometimes it is just, I'd rather this kind of feels like the easy button for me, right? And yeah, there's still documentation, but it's just a different process and they know who they're dealing with. And
exactly.
So when you mentioned before the call, you guys use a mortgage servicer. So you're not actually handling, like once you bring the buyer in, they do the application, where does the mortgage servicer take over? Do you handle everything up until closing and then the mortgage servicer basically just services the loan, right?
Correct. So we'll show people the house. We have somebody that fits, and our sales guy will be like, hey, I've talked to them. We know what we're looking for. Put a file together. We'll bring them in. We'll walk them through the whole process and what it would be. And if everything looks good, we still have to use an RMLO. So we'll send the entire file to them, and they're going to check and pull credit and run through the entire process and make sure that we've got all the paperwork. We do require everybody closes at title. We don't, that's just part of our process. And then we do require that they use a third-party note servicer. And so for people that don't know, really what the note servicer is going to do is they'll collect the monthly payment from them, and they'll send us our principal and interest. And we require the escrow for taxes and insurance. So just like when someone else makes a payment to their bank, where the bank will escrow, well, instead of us, one, I'm not going to run around town and collect all these payments because that was not going to be any fun. And two, it's a really good move in the fact that one, there's no argument. Did you pay me? Did you not pay me? No one pays me. You pay them, they document it. You have to pay through them, and then they will send us our principal and interest. But also, we don't have to manage the escrow accounts. And then if we need a payoff or anything, we can just ask for it. It saves us a lot of time. They'll send us what they have as the payoff, and we just have to verify. So it really takes a big part of the headache and documentation and everything off our plate, but also protects us because we use a third party, if there ever was an issue.
So I've never even looked into that. What is that like? What does that cost?
$35 a month is typical. And so, yeah, we write that in to our documents. So if you buy a house from us, that is part of your payment. So the borrower, the homeowner we say, hey, this is the $35, it's the servicing fee, and they hold your escrows. And so they actually pay that, and you can write that in at the beginning of the process before you sell them the house. And so I think everybody should use one. That's my opinion.
Are you willing to share? And I can edit this if you aren't.
No, I'll give you a bunch of them.
Are you willing to share who you like? What companies do you use or that you've used and recommend?
Yeah, so the majority of ours are through a company called August, REI, August like the month, REI. They're out of Garland, Texas. Depending on your state, documents can be different. So I tried a couple national ones. That was not the best for us. There's in the Lower Valley, we have some notes, which is South Texas Investor Loan Services. They've done a really good job for us. And I would look for somebody maybe local in your community, and somebody does service there. And obviously make sure, one, you need to be able to go online, and you need really, really good communication, because there's some that still like you can't go online. You need to be able to go online and check your accounts and make sure that they have a really good reputation for their communication for you and the clients. Those are the two biggest pieces that I would look for. But yeah, if somebody wants to use one of ours, by all means, give them a call.
So how do you determine like your interest rate for your buyers, and what does that look like compared to traditional financing?
It's a little bit of a balance, but the majority of our notes are at 10.9%. So they're a little higher than what they could get, but they're not so high. So you don't want them so high that it puts so much stress on the borrower, because the payment gets so high. Well, then you're not creating long-term success. And at 10.9%, a fixed rate over 15, 20, or 30 years is a really good return for most people. And so when you can have that set, and also if you don't try to push it too high, you just really increase your chances of them always making the payment, which is what we want. We want to set them up for success, have the payments come in, and then just go back to doing whatever else you do.
Yeah. So then are you guys, from where the money that you guys are utilizing to buy these houses, is it like a fund that you guys have multiple investors in? Do you guys have borrowed money somewhere?
Majority of our business, I keep going back and looking to starting my own fund. So maybe if I ever do it, I'll come back and I'll teach you my lessons. But most of ours are private lenders. The vast majority of what we use are individuals that we've worked with, not some for the first time, but just most are just repeat lenders, and that will borrow the purchase price and the rehab. And when we want to create a note, we want to create a first position note. So we don't want wraps. That's not our business model. We're not wrapping them. So we'll cash that investor out, and then we'll create this first position lien. One of the reasons we do that is because we sell a lot of notes. A lot of people don't want to go through our process. They're not going to go through our process, but I want monthly cash flow. No problem. If Jamie wants to buy a note, hey, we have this note. The interest rate's 10.9%. It's, 360 months. If you want to buy it, you can purchase that. If you want to sell them, you're going to probably want a first position. And so because we do both, we'll cash them out and then we'll sell them. So many note buyers will just come in on the back end and want to purchase them.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Because that's what we've actually looked at. We're like, okay, that'd be cool to just, because we've got a couple, and we're like, if we ever sold our whole portfolio, there's a couple good opportunities in there for some.
For sure.
Income. But it is unique, because it's like we've got all of our stuff is rentals, and then we're kind of slowly starting to consider. Nebraska is a really unique state right now, where we have our county going into we're doing like rental inspections.
Okay.
And they're finding things like it's just never been a thing. We aren't a real big city. And so, this is more common. I have my license in Arizona and Colorado as well. And it's like, the process they do, like when you write an offer, it's like, let me know what permits have been pulled. And that's very common in the bigger cities. It just hasn't been here yet. And so what these inspectors are going in, they're saying, oh, the ceiling is an inch too short. You can't use this as finished square footage anymore. even though we're paying taxes on it. So they're going in and they're basically like condemning people's homes or saying you have to kick your tenants out because they're not allowed to actually use the square footage upstairs because it's an inch too short. Or the basement, there was no permit was pulled on the basement square footage, even though it's tech. They'll go in, they'll be like, oh, it's to code, but they want you to tear down everything, start over. So we're just in this very unique position right now where as a landlord, things that were never an issue in Nebraska in just the last couple of months have started to become very, very expensive for landlords. So we're kind of on the path.
Sure. And I am a landlord, so I'm not against being a landlord of rental property. I definitely think it has its place. It serves its purpose. It has its place in our business.
Yeah. We've always been really like, what I'm struggling with is like when the city comes in and a house that's complete, like a beautiful home, it does meet code. There's not any health and safety concerns. And the city is saying, hey, this deck wasn't built to code. And my contractor is going and saying it actually is to code, but it's going to cost $12,000 to literally tear it down and I'm going to build it the exact same way. To me, that's like now we're creating, you want affordable housing.
Right.
But you're adding $12,000 bill that's completely and confirmed unnecessary. Like that just doesn't sit well.
What's the purpose? Like, why are we doing? Like, what is the goal there? Right. So, that's the question, right? And they can say that well, it's for safety. Well, is it? Or, because how is this more safe to build it twice?
I don't know if I should say this on a podcast publicly, but I will. And it's like, we've gone to attorneys and asked them and they're like, well, you can challenge it, but there's nobody to go. Like it is.
There's no one to challenge too. Okay.
It is what it is. So you kind of just either deal with it and stay on the good side, or you challenge it and create issues. But then what happens to all your other properties if you challenge it? Because all of a sudden you're on the radar. It's just
you're on the list.
Oh, yeah.
That's a tougher spot. I still believe in rental property, and it definitely has its spot and portfolio and for right person, right time. Where I transitioned a lot was, the more rentals you get, the more there's headaches. It's just part of the business, right? The more things you have to do in the turnover. And we could create more cash flow more consistently with the notes than you would from the rentals. You don't have property taxes are high in the state of Texas. Property taxes, you don't pay the insurance. You don't have the mortgage is coming to you. You're not paying it. You don't have the repairs, these things that come up. So that is something that if it's a piece or just all notes or however that fits in someone's portfolio, it's really worth looking at if your goal is long-term cash flow, because we've just found a lot of success.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love the concept. And it does, a balanced portfolio, right? You've got the rentals for certain reasons and tax benefits, and you've got the notes for the cash flow. It's spot on. You can balance that. That's beautiful. I was going to ask, so last question I'll kind of just ask is, so when you're selling the note, like when you're getting your investors, you're doing the guarantee of X amount, and then your company is like basically getting the difference, or how does that work as far as like the investment piece for you?
For us, so on the short-term private lending on the front end for the purchase and rehab, we're giving a certain percentage to the investor. This is a flat rate. That's what we're paying. We pay them out. Now, when someone comes and buys a note from us, we don't mark up our notes. We don't split the notes. So if Jamie says, hey, I want to buy this note, it's $150,000, I'm going to sell you 100% of it. You own it. You can do whatever you want with it. You could light it on fire. You could sell it to somebody else the next day if you really wanted to. And the reason that you would buy it is because you'd say, okay, well, I get this much principal and interest per month. It's at 10.9%, and I want it, set up and ready to go. You buy that. We have a little bit of a spread built in between where we've purchased, we've rehabbed, we've sold, that will cover us making a profit. And so everyone has to make money in the transaction, right? No one ever has a problem with that. But so we'll have that built in. And if we build it in there, then we don't have to charge the end investor, the end note buyer, anything. And they get all 10.9% and all the payments, which is just better overall because then they'll buy more.
Right. Love it. Yeah, that's amazing. So if somebody to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you? They want to buy a note, they want to invest, they want to be part of the private equity fund.
Yeah, so absolutely. Send me an email. It's Nick, Nick, and it's the website. It's all spelled out. So Nick at Sell My San Antonio House. I like to connect with people. If we can both help each other and work together, I'm happy to do it. And if somebody wants to call me, my phone number is 281-615-7007. That's my cell phone. Just give me a call. Shoot me a text. We'll set up a time. Is always better too. Hey, heard you on the podcast, and it happens all the time. I'm happy to do it and love to see how we can work together.
Yeah, love this. I'll send this podcast out to all my Texas people. We've had a lot of people move from Nebraska to Texas.
Really? All right.
There's a big transition there. So definitely get you in front of some more people that way too.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I appreciate you coming on today. Yeah. And we'll definitely do a follow-up call too with Brad. So,
I love it. Let's do it. Thank you for having me. All right. Thanks, Jamie.
Thanks for tuning in to Invested Souls.
We hope you found our insights valuable and feel inspired to elevate your real estate and relationship goals.
If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. Your feedback means a lot to us.
Follow us on social media for more tips and updates, or visit bradandjamieflanagan.com. And to find out more about our Real Estate Wealth Accelerator, don't hesitate to reach out.
Until next time, keep investing in your future and nurturing your relationships. Thanks for listening to Invested Souls.